The wind came first. It howled across the scorched two-lane road like a memory clawing its way back from the past. Dust rose in low spirals, catching the late sun in gold-stained whirls that danced over the hood of an old rust-dappled pickup. The desert stretched wide in all directions, red cliffs cracked open like old bones, cacti like silent sentinels and heat waves that shimmered as if the sky itself were breathing. Cal Riker stood with one boot on the steel bumper, hands stained, with grease, jaw clenched tight. The radiator hissed steam like a wounded animal. The engine was dead. Again, he didn't curse. Just stared. Behind him. In the bed of the truck, a girl's legs swung idly, bare, sun-kissed, freckled. Lena, his 10-year-old, scribbled in her sketchpad like none of it mattered, like they weren't stranded 30 miles from the nearest service on a road too forgotten even for buzzards. Then he heard it, faint at first, not the wind, not the engine, boots. Not cowboy boots clicking proud on pavement. These were heavier, dragged, limped, hollow. He turned. She came out of the shimmer like a figure out of a war photo. Short cropped hair matted to her face, camo shirt hanging loose off one shoulder, boots caked with red dust, and a duffel slung across her back like a dead thing, and blood, a stripe of it dark down one thigh, dried, cracked, half-washed by sweat. She didn't look at him, just kept walking past, eyes on the road, limp steady, shoulders stiff, like she had every intention of walking clear out of the world. Cal stared for a heartbeat. Then another. Then 3. You're coming with me, he said, not a command. Not a plea, just the way someone says, that's a fire. And I've seen what fire can do, She stopped, just barely turned her head, one eye swollen with dust. The other cold, clear, assessing. No, she said, then stumbled. He caught her before she hit the gravel. They didn't say much on the drive back. He'd coaxed the truck alive with a mix of prayer and wire. She sat in the front, silent, hand pressing into her thigh to stop the bleeding. Lena kept looking at her like she was some kind of movie character, half afraid, half in awe. The old trailer squatted between dead mesquite trees and a tin water tank that hadn't held water since spring. Cal helped her inside, cleared the table with one sweep of his arm, and set her down like she was made of glass and fire. You a medic? She asked hoarsely as he cleaned the wound. No, firefighter, was. He didn't meet her eyes. I know how to stop bleeding. She winced but didn't flinch. Not once, not even when he poured the alcohol. You always bring in strays? She muttered. He shrugged. You're wearing boots too big for your limp, and you've got a soldier's stare, but no badge, no bag, no unit. Just a name written in black Sharpie on your dog tag like someone wanted to forget you? She didn't answer. Besides, he added, voice low, you look like someone who's been burning too long. That got a flicker in her eyes. The kind you see when someone remembers a scream they never told anyone about. That night while Lena slept curled on the couch with her sketchbook open like a shield, Cal sat on the porch. The air smelled of dust and copper. Coyotes howled somewhere far. Inside, the woman lay on the cot, face pale, lips dry, hands twitching in dreams. 1. Boot on. One dropped carelessly by the door. He stared at it for a long time. Cowboy boots on a soldier. Like someone trying to walk 2 lives at once. Morning brought silence. Not the peaceful kind. The heavy kind. Lena was already outside feeding scraps to the wind-bent rooster they never named. Cal poured black coffee, handed it to the woman. Without a word, she took it, drank, said nothing. Name? He finally asked. She looked at him over the rim of the tin cup. Joe? No last name. Just Joe. He nodded once as if that were enough by midday. She was gone. Cal found the tracks just past the ridge, limping, deliberate steps heading into the canyon. Away from the road. Away from people. He stood there a long while. Then he went back, packed the canteen, grabbed the old first aid kit, and started walking. The desert here wasn't forgiving. The rocks bit ankles, the heat peeled skin. Every shadow seemed to whisper secrets. Asterisk, he found her slumped beside a rock, trying to bind her leg with a torn strip of her own shirt. "You're stubborn," he said. Joe didn't look up. "I had orders once. I follow them too well." Asterisk, he crouched beside her. "Whatever you're running from, you'll die out here." Asterisk, better than what's behind. Her voice was distant, flat. Not if someone's still looking for you. She froze. He saw it then, not the fear of being chased, but the fear of being found. A man doesn't learn that difference unless he's been both. Asterisk. He brought her back again. No resistance this time. Asterisk that night, while he boiled water, she traced the rim of her tin cup with a finger and asked, "You got anyone?" He didn't answer for a long time. "My wife died in a fire. 8 years back, I got out. I didn't save her. I wasn't supposed to leave my unit, but I did." He stared at the stove like it might offer. "Redemption, asterisk. Lena was too. I raised her out here. I fix trucks, farm scrap, we get by." Asterisk Joe said nothing for a long while. Then quietly, "I had 2 girls in my unit. One was 19. The other barely 21. They died in a place no one will put on a map. And I didn't." The silence after that wasn't empty. It was sacred. Just after midnight, a truck passed the far ridge. No lights. No sound but the grind of tires on gravel. Asterisk Cal watched from the shadows, rifle in hand. He didn't aim, not yet, asterisk, but he knew the look of men who hunt. The way they drive slow. The way they pause like wolves testing wind. Asterisk, he waited until the dust settled. Then walked inside, asterisk. "They're coming?" Joe asked from the cot already. Sitting up, lacing her boot, he nodded once. She said nothing more. Just stood, pulled her duffel over her shoulder, and opened the door. Asterisk, "You'll need to leave by dawn," she said. "You've done enough." But he blocked the way. "We're taking the long road," he said simply. Asterisk, her brow furrowed. "Why?" He paused, his voice low, barely audible over the wind. "Because I didn't burn for nothing." Asterisk, the road stretched ahead, long and broken, a ribbon of cracked asphalt that bled into the horizon. Cal drove with both hands steady on the wheel, knuckles pale under the dirt. The sky above was the kind that only came after too many days without rain. Too bright, too quiet. Like it knew a storm was coming, but didn't have the mercy to warn them. Asterisk Joe sat beside him, stiff in the passenger seat. The dried blood was gone from her leg, but she moved like her soul hadn't mended. The cowboy boots sat solid on the floorboard. Creaking when she shifted, asterisk Lena sat in the back, eyes behind a tattered book, pretending not to watch Joe in the rearview mirror. But she saw her, every movement, every wince. Every time Joe looked out the window and blinked a little too long at the nothing beyond the glass. By the third day, they crossed into mesa country. Red cliffs like giants, brushland rustling. With secrets, the sky heavy with thunder that hadn't yet found its voice. Asterisk Cal pulled off near an abandoned trading post. Roof half caved. Door swinging like it still remembered footsteps. "We rest here," he said. Joe didn't argue. And just followed with her duffel slung low, asterisk inside. The air was must and ash. A fire had eaten the place years ago, old scorch marks on the walls. Glass melted into the floor like frozen tears. Asterisk Lena poked around quietly, found a cracked mirror and stared at her reflection like she wasn't sure who she was anymore. Asterisk Cal found an old stove pipe, rusted through. Dropped his pack. "We sleep in shifts," asterisk Joe didn't answer. Instead, she walked to a wall and stopped. There, burned into the charred wood, was a single name, asterisk EMM, asterisk carved in shaky block letters, deep, like someone wanted it to outlive. The fire, her hand hovered over it, didn't touch, just hovered. Cal saw the tremble in her fingers. Said nothing. That night, the rain finally came, not a drizzle. A storm. Asterisk thunder cracked like gunfire over the plains, and lightning lit the windows like flashes of old memories. Asterisk Joe paced near the boarded windows. Cal cleaned his rifle. Lena drew in her book, something small, curled, and winged. A sparrow, maybe? Or a soul. Then came the sound. Far off, metallic dot asterisk, a door slamming, a muffled yell. Tires spinning out in mud. Cal rose like smoke. Joe was already at the window. Her face changed, hardened. They found us, she whispered. But no shots came, no flashlights. Just a whisper of movement beyond the brush. Then silence. Joe stared into the storm like she could read its thoughts. Just a warning, she said finally. Next time they won't miss. By morning, the ground was wet clay. Cal stood by the truck, trying to wipe the windows with a frayed cloth. Joe walked up behind him and handed him a folded piece of cloth. Clean, dry. From her pack, he glanced at her, nodded. Thanks. She turned to go. You leave something behind in that place? He asked. Joe hesitated. Just long enough for the wind to shift. There was a man once, she said. Named Emmett, saved my life more than once. Then one day, he ran back into a fire to pull out a kid. Never came out. Cal didn't move. Just let the cloth hang limp in his hand. You loved him? He asked. Joe didn't answer. Didn't need to. Some loves are too burned to name. They kept moving. North, always north. Gas stations came fewer. The desert gave way to pines and shadow. Once, they found a diner, old neon flickering like a dying star. Cal told them to stay in the truck. He walked in alone. Inside, silence, a jukebox frozen mid-song. Booths cracked with age. Two men sat at the counter, beards, dust-covered vests. One with a silver ring on his pinky, glinting under the old lights. Cal ordered coffee. Paid with cash. The man with the ring leaned over. Your girl in the truck? She got a name? Cal's hand tightened on the mug. She's got a father, he said. That's enough. The other man laughed. Not loud, the kind of laugh you hear before a blade. We're just curious is all. Heard about a woman on the run, desert storm type. Blood on her leg, boots too clean. Cal left the coffee, walked out, didn't look back. When he got in the truck, Joe met his eyes. Just one look, he nodded once. They know. That night they found a hollowed barn, old and half swallowed by wild grass. Smoke from an old chimney stained the rafters like ghosts still lived there. Joe finally told the story. Not all of it, but enough. I was in Fallujah. Then Syria, then 2 places I can't name. I stitched up kids and soldiers and once a dog that wouldn't stop crying. She sat near the fire, legs stretched out, voice low. I got tired of sewing death together. One day I didn't follow the order. I walked out of the tent, took a girl who'd been hit with shrapnel and carried her 5 miles to a medic chopper. Her eyes met Cal's, hollow, fierce. Turns out she was considered not essential personnel, they said I. Disobeyed. Got her out, left 2 others behind. She reached into her duffel. Pulled out a folded piece of crayon paper. 2 stick figures, one tall, one small. Standing near what looked like trees and a river, on the bottom. Mom, come find us. Cal stared. You have kids? He asked. Joe shook her head. Not mine. My sister's, she died in a fire 3 months ago. Her daughters are in a state home up in Montana. Cal's breath caught. And the men following you? Joe's jaw clenched. One of them wants the kids. Says there's money involved. Inheritance, he's not their father. Just blood to the wrong part of the family. She leaned back, eyes on the rafters. I told them no, took the girls, we ran, they found us. Took them back. Silence, then she whispered, I'm going to get them out. Cal stood, walked to the door. The night wind was cold on his face. He didn't speak for a long time. Then finally, I once told a man to take the long road. He didn't. Died in a fire 3 miles from home. Joe looked at him. What are you saying? I'm saying, I owe a few ghosts, he said, and maybe 1 or 2 kids. He turned to her. We're going to Montana. The air changed as they crossed into Montana. Gone were the jagged cliffs and sun-blasted mesas. Here the trees stood tall and close like silent witnesses. Pines whispered things the desert would never say. The roads turned colder, narrower. Each mile felt older than the last. Cal kept both hands tight on the wheel. Lena slept in the back, clutching her sketchbook to her chest. Joe sat beside him, one boot up on the dash, eyes scanning every tree like danger might grow from bark. Neither had said much since Idaho, since the checkpoint. Since the fire, they'd found the truck in the canyon, abandoned. Still smoldering. Inside. Cal had recognized the scent of gasoline. Fake accident. A message. Someone wanted them to know. They were still being hunted. They'd buried what they could, then kept driving. By the time they reached the town, a gray little bruise of a place called Two Pines. Snow had started falling in whispers. The Foster Center sat outside town, a low brick building behind a rusted chain-link fence. It didn't look like a home. It looked like something made to forget people. Joe stared through the windshield, breath fogging the glass. Cal didn't say a word. He just passed her the gloves she'd left in the back seat 2 states ago. She didn't take them. I used to read them stories, she said finally. Taught them how to tie knots. How to listen to the wind. She pulled the crayon drawing from her jacket and stared at it. They were scared when I left. I told them I'd be back before the snow. I'm late. She reached for the door handle, but Cal grabbed her wrist. Not hard, just firm. We go together. The office inside smelled like mildew and disinfectant. A man in a badge met them. Thin, tired. More ink in his paperwork than strength? In his bones. I'm sorry, he said, barely glancing at Joe. The girls were transferred 3 days ago. New guardian filed for custody. Had documentation, blood test, everything. Joe's voice was steel. Where? The man hesitated, then, private estate. Out past Raven Hill, name's Curtis Halle, distant relative. Inherited a few ranches last year. Real estate money. Big house, cameras, barbed fence. Joe turned to Cal, her voice cracked once. I'm not losing them again. That night they made camp just outside the estate. The moon was bone-white, cold, from the ridge. They could see the house, stone walls, floodlights, motion sensors, and beyond the yard, the faint glint of a swing set. Lena sat on a log, sharpening a stick with Cal's old penknife. Her eyes didn't blink. I saw one, she whispered, one of the girls. She came outside for a minute. She waved. Joe froze. You sure? Lena nodded. She looked just like your drawing, only ... Joe turned away. Shoulders shaking, but no sound came out. Cal sat with Joe that night, under the thick branches of a pine. You're thinking about running in, he said. She nodded. They'll have dogs, cameras, guns. I'm faster than I look. Cal shook his head. You're not faster than guilt. She looked at him sharply. He continued. Once I ran into a fire to save 2 kids. One lived. One didn't, and I've been asking myself for years if I ran too fast or not fast enough. Joe's voice was barely audible. What did you decide? That it wasn't about speed. It was about why I ran. He looked her in the eye. Don't run with hate. Don't break the door down because you're still burning. Walk in because you're ready to carry them back out. Joe stared at him a long time. Then she said, You're coming with me. The storm hit just after midnight. Wind screamed. Down the hill like it knew what was coming. They slipped through the trees like ghosts. Lena tucked between them with the sketchbook under her jacket. Cal took the camera's wire cutters, dark paint. Joe handled the dogs, a whistle, a flash of something she'd buried from her military years. Silence followed. At the fence, Joe paused. Her hands trembled. Cal reached out. Squeezed her shoulder once. We end this. Inside the estate, everything smelled too clean. Like money trying to cover blood. Curtis Halle was waiting. Of course he was. Dressed in a robe. Whiskey in hand. Smile too wide? Asterisk, you brought friends? He said, voice slick. Not smart? Cal moved first. Halle pulled a gun. Joe didn't flinch. Flash, a bang, then stillness. Asterisk, the bullet grazed Cal's shoulder, not deep, enough to burn. Joe tackled Halle. The gun clattered across marble. Cal kicked it away. Lena stood frozen. In the hallway, watching, then two girls behind her, twin faces. Wide eyes. Asterisk, one whispered, Aunt Joe? The silence shattered. Asterisk, Curtis lunged, glass broke. Furniture crashed. Joe didn't scream. She fought like a ghost with something left to lose. When it ended, Halle lay broken across the floor, asterisk breathing. But barely. Asterisk, Joe stood over him, blood at her lip, and said nothing. Cal handed her the rifle. Her fingers curled around it. Time stopped. Lena watched. The girls clung to each other. Asterisk, Joe stared down the sight. Breath shallow, asterisk, but then she lowered it. Asterisk, I won't burn for you, she said softly. She dropped the rifle, turned, walked away. Asterisk. They left before dawn. Asterisk, by the time authorities arrived, the estate was quiet. The girls were safe. Joe sat in the back of the truck, arms around them both. Silent tears cut tracks through the dirt on her face. Lena leaned her head on Cal's shoulder. Are they ours now? She asked. Cal looked at the sky. It was clearing, maybe for the first time in years. Yeah, he said. They're ours. Weeks. Later, the porch creaked beneath Joe's boots. Asterisk, the old cabin had been patched, roof reshingled. Wind chimes from Lena's drawings now danced from the eaves. Asterisk, the two girls, now clean, safe, fed, played in the dust, chasing the rooster. Through the brush, Joe stood beside Cal, coffee in hand. You think they'll forgive me? She asked. Cal didn't answer at first. Then, gently, they already did. You just need to forgive yourself. Joe didn't speak, but she smiled. For the first time since the canyon, the fire hadn't won. It had just led them here. Asterisk, 2. The long road to each other. Call to action greater than. If this story found you in a quiet place, if you've ever walked through fire for someone, who couldn't then tell your story below? We carry the weight better when we carry it together. And sometimes the longest road leads home. Asterisk.